What's up, everybody, and thank you for joining me for another episode of the podcast. This is episode number 8, and this week I have guest Eric Deschamps. Eric Deschamps is a science fiction and fantasy illustrator. Does a ton of work for Magic and a lot of book covers. And in this podcast, he kind of talks about the process that he goes through. We talk about some of the illustrations, so if you're not listening to this, you're going to have to definitely check out his site later on to kind of get the visual of what he does. Like I said, I think in the podcast we talked about how we met. I mean, I met Eric when I started working on the Today Show at NBC back in 99, something like that. And he was badass on Illustrator, and he was working on a couple specialty projects. And he made the decision that he wanted to leave that and go into illustration. That was always his passion, and I give him a ton of credit for kind of making that leap. Which I think was pretty cool that he made that leap, and he's been doing that ever since. So, again, I want to jump right into this. You can check out his website at ericdeschamps.com. He's got a Twitter page, Tumblr, I believe, all that other stuff. I have that all on the link below. But check it out. All right, so let's start this podcast, episode number 8, with guest Eric Deschamps. Thanks. So, Eric, what's up, man? Eric Deschamps here with me today. How you doing?
Good to see you. Hear you.
I appreciate you coming on, dude. And,
of course.
Definitely. I mean, for the guys who don't know, because hopefully we got a lot of people that are definitely into your work checking this podcast out today. But for those who don't know, you are you're an illustrator.
Yeah.
Right? Can you tell us just some of the work that you've done? What type of work? Sci-fi, or is it realistic type stuff? I mean, what type of illustrations are you usually working on?
It's all science fiction, fantasy.
All science fiction?
Yeah, and it's kind of, I got like 2 different genres I do, or more age groups, I guess you call it. So I have like the Magic the Gathering stuff I do.
Okay.
And so that's
what is actually Magic the Gathering?
It's a trading card game.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, so play that, and that's played all over the world. So I do half my work is that, and then the other half is doing book covers for middle grade readers. So that's, like, I don't know, 4th to maybe like 6th or 7th grade,
right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Now I know you're doing Magic the Gathering for a while. Is this something recent, doing the kids' books?
Not really. I've been doing it a while now.
Have you?
But yeah, the Magic stuff is much longer.
Yeah.
So the first thing I did for them was, let's see, it would be almost 12 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a while ago. So, but I've been doing the book covers though for at least 5 or 6 years.
The book covers, right?
Yeah.
You got any plans on doing storybooks?
I've done a couple reader books for like really young kids, where it's actually teaching the kids to read.
Yeah.
So I've done a few of those, but I don't do it too often. It's fun to kind of change, because I do like a different style with that one. So it's kind of fun to change that up every once in a while.
Right.
A little bit more flat and, line drawing based, rather than these fully painted things that I do for Magic and some of the book covers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now I know we met when both you and I were working at NBC out in New York.
Yeah.
We were both working on Illustrator, but I know I got to give you a lot of credit, and I kind of admired like your decision, because I know back in the day we were just out of school, and the job we had at NBC was a pretty damn good one.
Yeah, it was a cushy job at school. Yeah.
I mean, to get out of school for what we were making and the amount of fun that we were having, that was pretty cool. But I know that your passion was always illustration.
Yeah, it's like drawing. I wanted to be able to draw some cool creatures and costumes and, cool characters and create worlds and stuff like that. But I enjoyed what I was doing. It was fun, but it wasn't what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
So
no, but like I said, I give you a lot of credit, because it takes a lot of guts to kind of leave that and, in a sense, kind of start from the bottom, or start in the beginning again to kind of build your way up. Because I know seeing your work, I know you were always able to draw, but comparing to what I see now to back then, I mean, this stuff's amazing. And for the people who are listening, if you got a chance, check out his website. You can see it at ericdeschamps.com, and it has all his work from Magic, his middle grade, his early readers, and things of that. So definitely check it out if you haven't seen any of his work just yet. But That's cool. I mean, you still enjoying yourself? You've been doing this, like you said, for about
Oh yeah,
10.
it's so great. Every day I wake up and it's not like I think, oh, I have to go to work today. I can't wait to go and see what I have to do.
Mhm.
It's always a lot of fun. Yeah.
How does that work? I mean, how do you get like kind of walk us through like a project to project type basis? I mean, you get an email, is it phone call? You like doing a
Yeah,
Skype call, or how's that work?
everything's email these days.
Is it?
So yeah, I just get an email saying, "Hey, Eric, can you work on this project? We have this book cover for a young reader's book, and it's about A, B, and C. Would you be available for it?" And I'll look at my schedule and figure out if I can do it, and we just correspond back and forth. If there's something really difficult for them to explain or for me to explain, we can do a phone call, but it hardly ever happens. I feel like it's happened maybe 3 times.
Really?
So yeah.
So how does it work? You're saying you get an email.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a kind of synopsis of the character, or did you have your free reign to kind of add your own little essence to it, or how's that work?
We'll say like with magic, you'll get a description.
Okay.
So it's like I'd say 3 to 5 sentences of description.
Really? That little?
Yeah, and then but there's a style guide that goes along with it. So
Okay.
they spend a number of weeks kind of designing what that world's going to look like. So if it's going to be a world that's gothic horror, they're going to design like all of the look of the buildings. What do the werewolves look like in this set? What are what do the dragons look like? Do they have dragons in this set? That whole thing. And all the different people, all the different, like if they have different cultures, they're going to like design all that stuff. And so it's all like a springboard for you as the card artist to use. Sometimes they need you to stick to something really specifically, but sometimes you have some free reign. So it all depends on the assignment.
Now, when you create the worlds, is it just you creating all the characters, or are there a group of guys that you kind of?
Yeah, it's called a concept push, and so they hire, say, 4 to 6 people to come out to Seattle, where it's actually Renton, Washington, technically. And they go out there and they work for a few weeks or so and just design what the place is going to look like. I did it one time. There was a release called Theros, which is all like Greek inspired.
Mm-hmm.
So we, first thing we did is just sit down and kind of look at Greek mythology and try to get some inspiration, and then sat down and started working on characters and creatures and worlds and environments.
So this was you sitting down with the other artists that were going to work on some of the other characters.
Yeah, we were all in a room. So yeah, and we're all in our own little cubicles or whatever. Right. But yeah, so they'd hire somebody that was really good at drawing characters, someone that's really good at doing environments, and so they get some specific people in for specific things. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's good for me because I'm always stuck in my room by myself.
Right.
It was nice to like interact with other artists and kind of see how they work. Because I don't know. It's just me most of the time.
So you don't get to see anything like what the other guys working on until either the card comes out or once the deadline's up and you submit your work.
Well, I have other magic artist friends, and we can kind of sometimes we'll send our work back and forth to each other to
kind of critique it and stuff like that.
Yeah, but only with 2 artists that are on that specific project, so they're on that NDA. So yeah.
Okay. That's cool. And how long do you typically have to work on something like this?
It's less than 2 months. I forget the exact number, but yeah. So you probably have a few weeks to maybe 3 weeks to get the sketch in, and then another 3 weeks or so to finish it. So yeah, that's how long it takes. But yeah.
So are you doing anything pencil and paper anymore, or all?
Well, all the drawing. It used to be like however I felt that day. Right. All right, well, I feel like just doing the sketch digitally, or am I going to take a sketchbook out and do that? But now I kind of just do all the thumbnails with pencil, and then I scan them in, and then I'll kind of either embellish on them there, or I'll just blow them up and print them back out and use my light table and draw over top of that a little bit more, and then scan that in, and then I'll work digitally. So just however I feel. A lot of times it's the project itself. Because sometimes if there's a project and I just know what it's going to look like color-wise, I'll just do a real quick thumbnail, and then I'll go on the computer, and my sketch will actually have color in it.
Oh, really?
that I'll present to them. But sometimes, it's more about composition or action, things like that. So then I'll just do it black and white, send that in. So it all depends.
So you said you got 2 months on to do this. So
Yeah, about.
How many approval? What's the approval process? Do you have to throw the sketches in? Do they have to have color?
No, they don't. They don't say specifically.
They don't?
So yeah, no. You send in your sketch or sketches, and hopefully they'll approve it right from the beginning, and then you can get to work. Otherwise, you have to make some changes. They'll say, the character actually needs to be bigger. So let's because maybe the scale of him, this creature, he was like I don't know, maybe like 1 story tall, but he's supposed to be like 10 stories tall, so you have to change the whole illustration to match that, because the mechanic of the card is he's like a really strong character, so you just made him look too wimpy for the mechanics of the card. So sometimes you have to change things. So, or if you're not really capturing the flavor of what they're looking for, they'll have you change things. So, but usually they're pretty good about that stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I know, with the characters, you got to be pretty almost an expert with anatomy. Are you usually referring to books? Because I remember at one point you used to hire kind of, what do you call those things? Those peeps that come in. They kind of
like a model?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You still doing it?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. If it's not a friend or myself or my wife you always try to do that as much as possible to really, because if it's not even the anatomy or the features of the person, it's just, you're not going to be able to guess how light is going to hit certain features and like just the little subtle things that it may do, that might inform your drawing.
Okay.
So a lot of times, like I try not to take the photos before I have my established sketch.
Mm-hmm.
I try to go as far as I can without doing that photo shoot. So, because you don't want the photo shoot to drive your drawing. You want your own vision to drive everything. So I try to put that off to the last minute to just try to inform the drawing and the painting and make it just a little bit better and bring a little more realism into it. So yeah. And it's the same thing with the younger reader stuff. These days, though, I have been using a little bit less of it. Instead of trying to, it depends on the project. Sometimes, if I can, I'll just use myself or my wife for the kids,
mm-hmm.
and then just so the reference is really vague, and I really have to kind of figure out how to make it look like the kid I want it to look like, and it just makes a little. I kind of enjoy having a little bit more of more style to it,
mm-hmm.
And a little bit looser, as opposed to like the really realistic stuff that I do for magic and stuff like that. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the models, do you have to go through a group? Because I remember at NBC, if we ever had to bring somebody in for a shoot,
mm-hmm.
it was sort of like a union type group that we would have to go through. Is that kind of the same? But
no, it's nothing like that.
Nothing?
Yeah, you just you can find a model and you can have them sign a release form and all that, and that's all you really have to do. So yeah, I use the models. It's always easier if you can get somebody you know.
Mm-hmm.
So because they can be flaky.
Oh.
And you have like this tight deadline, and then they're supposed to come in, and they don't come in. So if you can use somebody you know and have a recommendation for, always go for that first.
Really? Okay. So talk the process of. That's pretty straightforward about the illustration, but
mm-hmm.
When you're adding color, I started painting again maybe about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out. I'm looking at one called the Dragon Singer
mm-hmm.
on your website.
Yeah.
How would you start that image, or how did you start painting that picture?
That was one of the ones where I went straight to color right from the beginning.
Did you?
Because I knew it was just going to be this beach scene, and I wasn't going to have the lighting was going to be very natural. I knew it was just going to be a during the day shot with maybe a little bit of clouds and the surf coming in. So I knew what those colors were going to be.
Okay.
It was all about determining what the dragon colors were going to be, and essentially, even with her, I didn't want the colors of her dress or anything like that to be very important. So they almost like match the clouds.
Right.
So it was all about figuring out the dragon. So I blocked in like the blue and the seafoam green right from the start. And, then it was all about trying to figure out what kind of cool patterns can I do on these dragons without making it look too Fisher Price, and too many colors at one time. So it was, and a lot of times I'll look at tropical fish, or I'll look at pictures of tropical birds and things like that, and try to get some inspiration on how the patterning might work. So I'm just not randomly putting down any kind of little squiggles. I'm trying to get stuff from nature so it feels natural.
So you studying reptiles for scales, patterns, and stuff like that as well?
Well, for this, I was studying some dinosaurs, and like the pterodons, those kind of, and Quetzalcoatlus. I forget how you say that one. And so I was studying a bunch of them. I was looking at birds as well, and some lizards, and kind of, because these are actually called fire lizards, but they're essentially just small dragons.
Small dragons.
Yeah. So this is a book series that was out in the 70s, and we were very popular. And there's a whole line of books, and this trilogy here, they wanted to market towards a younger audience.
Right.
So that was my task, to try to get the same feel of the book, but kind of get a younger audience to read it. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Early Game of Thrones.
Yeah. It's a very sweet book. I actually liked it a lot. So it was, Dragon Song was the name of that one.
Very cool. And so throughout the progression of this book, these dragons are getting bigger, or these are
No, they're always small.
Are they?
Yeah, there's normal sized dragons in the book as well. She sings to the dragons and kind of tames them in a way. So they're almost like her pets.
So these early reader type books. I mean, you said that you're doing the covers right now.
Yeah.
Now these things that if people wanted to either look at these or buy these books, I mean, where is this something you get off Amazon or?
Yeah. No, the publishers are major publishers like HarperCollins and Simon & Schuster, stuff like Bloomsbury. So you can find them anywhere. So any of the ones you see there. Fablehaven was another big one that came out. That one's a lot of fun to read. It's good. So if you have kids that are 10, 12 years old, or even younger than that, you can read these to them, or have them read them, honestly. So yeah.
So that is the same process that you do for Magic. Is that kind of translate through all your other work, through the early readers type? That same process?
Yeah. The middle grade readers. Yeah, it's pretty much the same process. Dealing with the client is different. It's pretty cut and dry with Magic most of the time.
Right.
With them, there's a lot of hands and a lot of people that are, because it's just this one cover, and that little cover, really has to do with makes or breaks the book sometimes. You never know, So there's a lot of people that are concerned about it, and so you have to really be careful with what you're doing, and really do a good job with it, and just take the comments. There's just people always want to change things a little bit more than say on Magic, so you kind of have to spend a lot of time figuring out what exactly is their problem with it,
right?
And kind of it's a lot of communication back and forth just to kind of get a good sense what they actually. Because a lot of times they'll tell you what to do rather than tell you what the problem is.
Right.
They'll tell you, okay.
You kind of get that thing. They know what they don't want, but not what they want.
Yeah, but instead of telling me what's not working and let me solve the problem,
right?
They just want to solve the problem for me. But then I'll solve that problem exactly what they want, and then it's still not what they want.
Right.
Because they didn't just tell me what the problem was in the first place, and then I can kind of solve it. So that usually works out the best. So I try to, in a nice way, figure out a way to get that explanation out of them before I start working on the changes, just so I can make sure I'm going in the right direction.
Now, has that relationship, I would assume that relationships kind of gets better once you guys have been working together more and more?
Yeah. I think then they start to trust me more. Yeah. Absolutely. Especially with HarperCollins, I've been working with them for a while, so I think they know then I can solve these problems for them.
Just give it to Eric. So tell me about jumping back to Magic. I know that you've come down to DC, which was really cool because you do a lot of these conferences now, right?
Yeah, they're called Grand Prix, Magic Grand Prix. So they're huge tournaments of a few thousand people playing against each other.
Right.
So it's a one-on-one game. So it's like however many rounds of Swiss they do, and cut down to the final winner. And so the cash prizes and product prizes and all kinds of stuff. And so they're really popular. There's so the artists come by, and we set up a shop there for a little bit and say hello to all the Magic players, and you sign cards and sell prints and things like that. And do drawings and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So I remember what is that called if I brought a card to you and you kind of
change it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be it's a card alteration. So I can this is some big warrior and he had like a bow, and I changed it and made it into like 2 swords instead or something like that.
And this is, you said you do this with just like a Sharpie or something, right?
Yeah, there's like Sharpies and some opaque markers, like oil markers and stuff like that. Some gold and silver markers, and just kind of do it on the fly.
But that's it. I mean, that's what I was about to ask. This is purposely done just to be on the fly, just to say that you tagged it in a sense, like
Well, yeah, and it's also like they have a very sometimes they have deep connections to certain cards that they just love using. So if you can kind of pimp that card out a little bit more, they really appreciate it and have fun with it.
Right.
Sometimes you can do some silly things to it too, and they get a kick out of it.
So that's cool. Do you usually see the same people at these conferences?
Yeah, you start recognizing faces. Yeah, absolutely. So
it's like these guys, they travel to play these tournaments, right?
Yeah, a lot of people. Some of them will travel from Japan, will travel from Germany, all kinds of places. So, and actually they have these tournaments out there too. So sometimes I get a chance to travel out to their tournaments as well.
What's the furthest you gone tournament wise? Traveling, I mean.
I did Beijing, and I did Australia, Sydney. I did 2 places in Japan, Yokohama and Nagoya. And I think those are the furthest ones.
Furthest ones?
Yeah.
What was that place you had that terrible incident where you lost your passport?
Oh yeah, that would be China. Yeah, walking the Great Wall.
That's pretty cool though. Yeah. Not losing your passport, of course. But
no,
to see these places.
But yeah, no, it was awesome.
That's cool. You got any more coming up?
No, I don't. I don't. I'm kind of taking it easy for a little bit here, and then I do have one. It's not a Grand Prix, but it's a convention, a gaming convention called Gen Con. That's in August. That's in Indianapolis.
So what would you be doing there?
Same kind of deal. Just to have a booth set up. So
there'd be people from Magic would be following you as well to these?
Well, it's just a general, gaming convention. So there's all kinds of things like Dungeons and Dragons and,
Right. So it's not, I was thinking video games when you originally said that.
No. Yeah. It's more like, it's not video games. It's the other kind of games like tabletop games and trading card and, role-playing games. Mostly. There's some video game stuff, but not much.
Very cool. So tell me this, if anybody listening to this was interested of trying to take this path, I mean, what would you recommend to somebody starting out?
Oh, it's all about putting the time in and, really just displaying yourself and putting a lot of practice in and just being really self-critical, and having a thick skin, and make sure that you're looking for that critique and you're taking it to heart, and constantly working on the things that you're not good at, that's important, so if you don't want to get just really good at doing people's faces and never learn how to draw hands or never learn how to draw creatures or the environments that they're in. You kind of have to switch it up every once in a while and change your focus and start working on different things. And one of the things I like to see tell the younger artists to do is just to, with each piece you do, have just some 1 or 2 small goals that you're trying to achieve with that piece, so say it's, this one, I really want to have a sense of depth. That's main focus, and I really want to get that done. So, just have these little goals that you're going to do, and don't try to take on the world with each piece. So, and then so you can incrementally get better, rather than just flailing your arms out and not really learning much at all each time, and kind of making the same mistakes over and over again.
Right. So you say set goals, but if you start an image, you would have to finish it.
Oh yeah, well, if it's a total failure, there's nothing wrong with starting over.
Okay.
I think that's also another important thing to do is, especially for younger artists, when you're working on a piece and you draw this face that just, it looks awesome, but then overall, that it doesn't work with the piece. It doesn't solve the problem you're trying to solve. But you like how you drew that face, and you're not going to be able to draw another face again like that. So you leave it. You can't do that. You have to be willing to just start over, even though, that came out great, but it doesn't work for this. So, doing those kind of decisions are important.
Yeah. Now, what was some of the issues that you kind of worked yourself through in the beginning?
Well, at the time I kind of felt like I started late, because, I came out of college and but I came out of college with a design degree. So I didn't take a lot of illustration courses. I took like one or two. And then, worked at NBC for like 3 years. And, so I kind of felt like I was a little bit behind the game. So there was a lot of catch up that I had to do. And so I was taking a lot of, little workshops here and there and just working on my portfolio like crazy. Like my wife and I moved down to North Carolina where it was cheaper to live, so I could work on my portfolio.
That's right. I remember that.
Because we live in New York State at the time, and it's expensive there.
Yeah.
So that just wasn't going to work. So so just doing those kind of things was tough, and trying to, and then when you first start out, the pay rates for the kind of work that I wanted to do were so low.
Yeah, that's just because you were breaking into the industry at the time.
No, it's still an issue.
Is it?
But there's a lot of jobs that you can get that students will take. Well, not students, but younger artists will take because it's I want to get published, but they're paying you like $100 for an entire illustration. It's not worth doing. You're better off spending your time making your portfolio better to get the higher paying jobs rather than taking this one job just to say I'm published, that kind of thing. So just breaking out of that and convincing myself, all right, this isn't doing anything for me. Let me make sure I just work on my own work, get that better, and then get like into like Magic the Gathering where they pay better, than these smaller companies. So that kind of stuff. So
I know back in the day we would submit demo reels like VHS. I mean, how's it different now? You guys just sending web links? People to your website?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes if you make a small enough image, you can attach it to an email. But you don't want to have this huge image because it comes into an art director's email box and they see this huge file and they're going to delete it instantly. But if it's small enough where they're not going to notice it, then you can kind of have that in the email. So
that's something they look for.
Well, it's just you don't have to look like spam,
Right.
So, a lot of people still send postcards, and to different art directors, and postcards and emails and then just going to conventions and networking, and that's all very important.
Now, do you see a lot of guys networking, trying to break into the industry at these conferences that you go to?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done a lot of it lately, though.
Really?
Because I do the Grand Prix, which are not that. They're not. It's just all about magic.
But these are open to the public. If I wanted to go down and grab a ticket just to watch, that's something I would be able to do, right?
Yeah, totally. Or you don't even have to have a ticket. You can just come by it. I'm pretty sure. They're usually paying to play.
I see.
Yeah. So. Yep.
You never had any interest of actually jumping in one of the games?
No, I've played at home.
Yeah.
With a few friends because I feel like you really need to learn how to play the game to illustrate for it.
Right.
And even just being at these events, the players come up to you and they'll be asking a lot of questions or just telling you all about their deck, and you don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Right.
So, I ended up getting a few friends together and learning how to play, and I realized, this is a pretty cool game. And so, I kind of got into it, but it's so time consuming that, it's not very reasonable for me to play hardly. I mean, I play like maybe a few times a year. That's it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Very cool. So the work on your website, that's a progression since how long? Since the beginning?
No, it's, I don't know.
Because some of these are pretty sick. I mean,
I don't think I have any very old stuff on there. Maybe probably 6 years old. Would probably be the oldest thing on there.
And I recently saw on your Facebook page that they actually animate these guys.
Yeah. They when there's a new release that's going to come out, they take a lot of the imagery that the artists have done for this set and kind of make a trailer out of it. I don't know how they do it.
Oh, so it's not like you got to send them texture maps or something like that. They just
No. They use the actual images that we have on the cards.
And if some people are building it from that, that's great.
Well,
how cool is that, though, to see your kind of characters come to life?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. The other thing, too, cool is if you work on the concept art and you design these characters, and just to see how other artists took your designs and made them awesome, that's really neat to see. So that was a lot of fun when I went out to work on the concept push, and then seeing how everyone made my art better. So
now, when you say made you, they drawn over it, or they starting from what you drew and expanded on it?
The concept art is looser sketches, and,
okay,
the color too, but seeing them take those ideas and put them into finished art, and with in a scene, so.
Fair. You got a favorite out of one of your magics so far?
I'm asked that a lot, and a lot of times I say, so if you're looking on my site on the magic part, it's called Solidarity of Heroes. It's on the third row.
Oh yeah, with the lion.
Because a lot of it is just a lot of times when you do science fiction, fantasy, and these kind of games, it's always really aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like really high testosterone illustrations, and this is like it's just a really solemn moment, like an intimate moment.
Right.
Get to do that kind of stuff very often, so I appreciate getting to do that. That was a lot of fun.
So tell me again. I mean,
the character there, I had my wife and her father pose for that.
Oh, really?
Her father was the lion, and then she was the warrior. So it was kind of funny.
Did you have them stand?
Yeah, they were in that exact pose. Yeah, it was funny.
That's cool. And this, you said it's about 2 months to work on this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't spend 2 months on it. I probably spend, I would say like 4 to 7 days on it, something like that.
This you did in 4 to 7 days?
Yeah.
So what applications are you using to build this?
It's just Photoshop.
Strictly Photoshop. Like a Wacom tablet and Photoshop.
Well, I have a Cintiq, which is a monitor you use as a tablet, so you're drawing right onto the screen.
Yeah. Okay. So do you got custom pens, tips, or you're using standard ones?
I have well, I mean, the one that comes with is great, but this one here is a art pen, so the tip of it's a little bit rounder, and it's the difference between this one is it can sense rotation, which the standard one can't.
Right.
So if you had like a brush that was very vertical, like say like a flat brush,
right,
I can turn it, and so I can make. If I turn the pen, I can make a really thin stroke or a really thick stroke, depending on how I turn the pen. So I use that all the time. So not a lot of artists use it, but I seem to. I don't know. I gravitate towards it.
What are typical other artists usually doing? Strictly Photoshop or?
Digital artists, yeah, Photoshop, and there's another one called Corel Painter that a lot of people use.
Corel, Jesus, that's still around.
Yeah. So I don't. A while back, it used to crash a lot on me.
Right.
It just wasn't worth it losing the work. So then now, just so much time has passed, and I just really know Photoshop well that I haven't tried going back to Painter at all. I'm sure it doesn't crash anymore, but
so Photoshop. All right, so tell me this, because I always was curious about this guy. If you go to back on your magic page, you go to the Dragon Lord, Dromoka.
Yeah.
All right, how many layers is this?
I try not to do a lot of layers.
Really? You're just drawing off maybe 1 or 2?
Yeah. No, a lot of times it's just 1 or 2 layers, yeah. And I'm usually flattening it as much as possible so I don't get too caught up in... I mean, there's already, with digital art, there's already so many ways that you can kind of undo things and, really not make decisions.
Right.
And just because you can always go back and change things. So I'm trying to figure out ways to lessen that. So I have less options as far as that goes, because it can be a little bit of a crutch sometimes.
Okay.
So for me personally, So I try to flatten it out as much as possible. So I can't always be changing the background color or changing this as easily.
Right.
So it's more of an effort. So then I have to take time in the beginning to think about how I really want it to be and go for it. Because and I found that now I've been painting twice as fast as I used to, 5 years ago, because I'm making the decisions early on in the game rather than just leaving everything till later. And I just spend so much time screwing around, dicking around with this color and this layer and just trying to, oh no, wait, so this works much better.
So, I mean, that one looks 3D, man. That tail coming in the foreground looks pretty sick.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, this is one where, so this is a character, I think maybe Mark Winters came up with the look of this character. So he was actually it's a she. She was in the style guide. So, it was probably much more flatter drawing, more like a line drawing of this character.
Right.
Mark came up with what the face of the dragon was going to look like and how big the scales are going to be, and that was going to have this really prominent chin, really hefty chest.
Right.
I just kind of had to capture that in illustration. So.
Okay. Very.
Yeah, I can't take all the credit. It's his cool designs.
That's it. So do you have any work that you just kind of do on your own, or do you even have time to kind of...
Oh, yeah. I have. I've been working on my own story for the longest time, and, I'm...
So you do have time to kind of do your own stuff?
I've made the time, in the past, couple years or so. And, even more so now. So I've been trying to figure out the best way to do that, to carve more personal time into my schedule. And I've been doing a lot of writing, actually.
Really?
I do concept art for the story and some full illustrations just to give myself springboards for writing the stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So I've been doing all kinds of stuff. I'm almost treating it like it's a novel. And,
so did you take any writing courses, or you just kind of editing yourself?
No, I haven't, and that's part of the fun, is just trying to see. I'm not putting a lot of restrictions on myself. I just want to go ahead and do it because I want to do it.
Mm.
Whatever happens with it happens. I don't really care. I'm just having a lot of fun writing that. I never thought I would be interested in writing. Mm-hmm. And I realized that I just really like to tell stories, and this is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've just been kind of going to town with it. I've been writing little poems with it, little songs, just a whole outline for a story. And, I've been getting into a lot of the nitty-gritty of the story lately, and just trying to see what I can do with it. It's fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. So right now it's entitled Spirit Season. And
so Spirit Season, off your website, that's your own work then? These are the characters?
Yeah, those are all my own. Yeah, it's on my own little story. Literally, they're all little experiments from the story. So a lot of it will change. Even if you look at it, the main character, it looks a lot different from, say, the Spirit Willow through to the bottom there, which says Duo. Right. I'm just doing a lot of different experimentations. For a while, I had a certain kind of origin of the character, let's just say it was around, let's say Mayan kind of culture, kind of facial features and things like that.
Right.
And I was just having a hard time capturing that in a simple line drawing. And so over time, I've finally gotten a little bit better at that. So you can kind of see that in the progression, and some of the stuff you don't see here that I haven't released yet. So it's just, but I'm not worried about it. I just kind of go ahead, and if things look different, that's fine. I can always change it later if there's the consistency isn't there, because this is just, it's just playtime now.
So what's your main character, the girl? What's her name?
Aurelia.
Aurelia.
She's got her little friend there, little creature friend, Rohu.
Rohu.
Yeah.
Very
but yeah, at some point I'll be excited to kind of release a little bit of what the story's about, but I don't want to do that until I really feel like it's completely set in stone. So,
how far do you think you are right now? 50%, 60, 70?
Well, it's a pretty, it's kind of I'm treating it like a novel. So
are you?
Story-wise, I'd say I'm 90% there.
Okay.
As far as writing it, 20%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder, maybe you release chapters every month.
Yeah, but that's the thing is if you do that, you have to make sure that the
Oh
whole
yeah, you got to make sure it's there.
yeah, because you don't want to you release like all these chapters and then realize, oh crap, I want to change all that in the beginning there.
Well, that's the same thing I had to do. This was this podcast dropping. I made a commitment that every Wednesday I have to put content up, and it worked out perfectly in the beginning because before I launched, I had like 4 in the can. Right, so I had everything ready. I launched. It was good to go, and all of a sudden, by week 3, it's like, you know what, you need to start lining some more people up, and it's like, so now, I mean, it's been a whirlwind getting people locked in and getting them over here and all that other stuff. But I mean, it's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're trying to do social media like promotion for yourself, and so you want to have like some Facebook posts and some Twitter posts, and to remind people that you exist,
right?
So you make this big list of all these posts, and then once you get halfway through, you're like, oh crap, I got to come up with some more.
Right.
And then you have this big lull where you just don't do it. You're waiting to get another stockpile up.
So what are you more active on? Facebook, Twitter?
Probably Facebook and Twitter. Probably equal.
Do you have a lot of people?
Still not a lot.
Do you have a lot of fans like reaching out? Are you pretty cool, open with people reaching out to you and answering questions, or how's that usually work for you?
I don't mind doing that. So yeah, sometimes I get younger artists that want some advice. So try to make some time to do that.
That's cool. What's usually the typical questions that you get? Can you help me out? Or what am I supposed to?
Yeah.
You could be like a Bob Ross, man.
No.
Just because I remember you used to do your concepts where you'd actually show the build, which is really cool.
Oh, you mean like those videos?
Right, where you show like the beginning and then how you started slapping color on there and then refining everything.
Yeah, somebody was asking me about that the other day, and I realized that I don't have it on my website anymore. Yeah. I'll have to re-put them back up there.
Because that was really cool to kind of see just how just through color-wise. Because I know you and Victor, he was on, I think, episode 3. Victor Newman. I mean, the way you guys use color is sick. And it's like, I can appreciate the illustration and the expertise with how you can control the pen, but when I see your work and Victor's work, I can really kind of see how the use of color is just as important.
Yeah, it's funny for me because I just see it from the other side where I'm thinking, oh man, I can't do anything subtly. I feel like I just use too much color.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm always kind of give myself a hard time about that. Right? For me, it's always, all right, let me see if I can actually make this into more of a monochromatic painting. And it never happens. I always end up at some point I'm just too tempted and I end up having to add color into it.
Because I got to get you guys to at least exchange emails or something, because he does, don't get me wrong, he's busy as well, but every once in a while he'll break off and he did designed 6 skateboards recently. And every once in a while, he'll just kind of say, you know what, I just need like a break, and he'll go off and design some shirts. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, yeah.
What he does.
Up to checking out some new artists and saying hi. That's cool.
So what do you got coming up? What's next for Eric?
Let's see. I have doing a lot of the young adult book covers now. Well, middle grade readers. So once I get, Yep, that's what I have to do right now. I don't have any magic stuff going on right now, so it's all that stuff and then my own work. So trying to get that going. So I got one project where I have to make a couple edits to and then the other one I'm in the sketch phase for.
The sketch phase?
Yeah.
So you're in the middle of a job right now then?
Yeah. I just started it, and the other one's at the tail end. So usually have 2 or 3 going at a time.
So what are the sizes of these pictures? I mean, how big, if you were to print them out, are you doing like 8.5 by 11s, 12 by 18s?
Well, I guess because it's digital, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but even with Illustrator.
So it's more like when we Photoshop, it's pixels, like 6,000 pixels tall, something like that.
So what are you doing, what DPI, 300?
Well, it doesn't matter, because if you have it at 8.5 by 11, the DPI might be like 1,000. But if you have it at 18 by 24, then the DPI could be 300. It's all the same pixel ratio.
So, but you gotta, you're speaking math to me, man. That's going over my head.
I'm just worried. All I worry about is the pixels. So if it's 6,000 pixels by 4,000 pixels, that's all I worry about.
Really?
They can scale it to whatever they need it to.
They can blow it up?
Yeah, because they're only using it for a book cover. So
okay.
That's still going to
that's what you're basing it off.
They need, you know.
So they'll give you the schematics or the specs.
Yeah, they'll say this book cover is 8.5 by whatever, 4.5 or something like that.
So you don't usually build them larger so they can scale them down? You just kind of go a ratio 1-to-1?
No, I make them bigger.
Yeah.
Make them about twice as big. Yeah.
That works.
Yep, totally.
Very cool. So right now, that's what you said. You got that coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Working on a couple things. Yeah, man, I think that'd be cool if you can put that the progress videos that you did.
Yeah, I'll have to put them back up there. I completely forgot about those.
Yeah.
Because I recently redid my whole site, and that just kind of fell by the wayside.
And then you got a blog going now?
No, if you look at that, that's like another one of my things I need to start getting better about. What is it? 2014 is the last updated version.
Last one?
Yeah, it's bad. So yeah, so that's what I've been up to.
That's pretty cool. So tell me again, that video, that was what? I think it was MTG Trailers that did that? Was that the name of the company that animated your...
I have no idea who did it, but it's, just through Magic the Gathering. I don't know who they farmed it out to. I think they might have done half of it in-house and some of it they farmed out.
So tell me, what's the difference between a regular card and, say, like the foil proof? I mean, how does that...
Oh, like a regular card? One's just rare. You know, one has like the foil printing on it, so it kind of shines a little bit.
That's it? So like the old school baseball cards that I remember?
Did they used to have foil baseball?
Yeah, some did.
Yeah. So they were more expensive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all it is.
That's crazy. Checking out your Twitter page now. You got people dressing up and these characters coming to some of these conventions?
Oh yeah, no. Sometimes people are really into certain Magic characters, and so they dress up as the characters, show up to the Grand Prix. It's pretty fun. But it's really funny when it's something that you illustrated, and you're like, "Oh crap, look at that."
That's pretty cool. So you still playing basketball?
Well, not anymore.
Not.
I tore my ACL. So
when the hell did you do that?
I guess it was like a year ago. So I need to start really getting back into it, but I've been a little timid. I'm more worried about doing the same thing to the other knee,
right,
than wrecking the one that I just had fixed. Because when I was playing basketball, when I actually hurt it, I don't feel like I really did anything really out of the ordinary to tear it. So I'm just worried that they're both kind of screwed up, and I just happen to tear that one.
Yeah.
So I kind of just a little worried about doing it again.
Man, it's age, man. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it too. Everything breaking down.
Yep.
But trying to where this guy at. But that was man. Our basketball games are pretty cool.
So, yeah, man. But appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, cool, man. This is definitely cool. And like I said, I would put up some of the links that I have of you that so people can check it out. And I think that's pretty cool that you kind of get back to some of the people who kind of reaching out, at least to help, because I think that's really cool.
Yeah, well, I don't feel like I had anybody, because I didn't have like any influence when I was a kid. I didn't have any family members or people I knew that were artists. So, I kind of feel like I was just on my own. So it's kind of usually try to help when I can.
You keep in touch with anybody at NBC?
You.
That's it?
Yeah.
They had a reunion, I think, 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago.
Really?
Yeah. We got to, because you're close. We got to make a trip to hit one of those things, because it's the same. A lot of people don't work there.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool to see a lot of the people.
I didn't realize they did that.
Yeah, I think this was one of the either second or third meetup.
Is it a graphics thing, or is it?
Yeah, it's just a graphics thing. But you had people like some of the researchers were there.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the guys from sports,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Because I know people listening. We used to have Eric and I and Dave. There's another guy, David. We used to have Epic. Was it NBA Jam?
Yeah, it was called NBA on NBC.
NBA at NBC.
Yeah, so they created a video game, like an NBA Jam version of with all the NBC music and everything.
Right.
So yeah,
and that was
we used to play that. We used to work the overnight for a bit. We'd get all our work done real quick, as fast as we could, and we spent the rest of the night playing that game.
Epic games.
It was a big stand-up arcade game.
Yep.
We didn't have any quarters in though.
No quarters, and we would sit there. Yeah, man. Because I would get off around midnight. Pinto would probably be off at 11, and you would be off earlier. You'd be off usually about 8 or 9, and either go home because you were living in Midtown at the time.
Yeah.
Either come back or just kind of work on stuff and wait until everybody's shift was over, and it was game on.
Oh yeah, that's true. For a while there, when I wasn't even working on your shift, I'd come by and play, right? Yeah,
it was game. Then you moved, like you said, you moved upstate a little bit, and then
yeah, I think it was Boston.
But NBC used to have this great thing that if you worked 2 to 3 hours overtime, you can get a black car home.
Yeah.
And you used to get. I remember a little later on, it was a little harder to get those slips. But remember, we used to get the slips. We have to fill out the slips, and then
drive you home.
That's what we would do.
Yeah, that was like an hour and a half drive
for you.
Yeah, for me.
Because you were upstate, and Dave and I, we were living in the Bronx, so we would kind of try to figure. Whatever, man. That's good. And who broke the damn game?
Yeah, I think Dave kicked it. Can't believe it. That was the saddest day ever. Couldn't keep in his rage from losing. Probably to you.
I'm trying to think. What? We were all. That was the cool thing because everything would go back and forth. NBA Jam. Right? Didn't we look on eBay? We found one on eBay.
Yeah, I wanted to buy one. I have one at home.
I think it was like $3,000 or something like that.
Expensive.
But that might have been worth. Shit, by now they should have it on like Xbox One or something.
Yeah, that's no fun though. You got to have the full upright arcade machine.
Well, we should try it once and see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? See how that reaction is. But I've looked on Facebook. I couldn't find the guy, man.
No, yeah. No,
I've asked around because we used to have some cool basketball games too. But no, that was a good freaking time. back in the day. So, well, cool, man. I don't want to keep it too much longer, but I really appreciate you coming on and
of course
and talking about this.
All right, man.
The work you do is like I said, man, is sick. I love following it, and like I said, people can follow you on easiest ways is probably what, Twitter, because I know you're pretty good about updating your stuff on Twitter.
Twitter and Facebook, yeah.
How you Instagram too?
Yeah, actually, I've been starting that up too. So I do that probably just as equally now.
You did some illustration on that Dark Crystal, dude.
Oh yeah, that Olgra. Oh, you didn't like that?
No, that movie scared me, man. I was.
Oh yeah, because it was a long time ago.
I was way too young to be allowed to watch that. But very cool. Well, cool, man. Yep. I hope I can get you on again soon.
All right, well, talk to you soon.
Cool. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You're right. Bye.
Wow.